no way that can be right.
Philly, man.
What up?
What's with your DBZ, dog?
All right, man.
It ain't
Look,
looking so good, man.
so I was chilling on Twitter,
Chilling.
you know,
Yeah.
and like my timeline went crazy. Apparently, Complex magazine on their website, they released a article. They have a pop culture section, and included with that is anime, television, blah blah, blah so on and so forth. And they released a controversial article talking about Dragon Ball Z being the most overrated cartoon of all time. And I think
Exactly.
if you listen to our last podcast, Bush, this artist
man.
or this author shares the same sentiment.
I
as
felt
Bush.
like he wrote that shit just for me. Like he heard
I
the
felt
podcast.
like he listened to the he listened to the last podcast. But no, he had an interview with a big DBZ fan, and he asked him some core questions. But what people didn't agree with is they felt like he was just criticizing the most controversial thing you can say in the anime community is DBZ is overrated. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing else you can more controversial than to criticize the best, quote unquote, the best, most impactful anime in the genre.
Okay.
Or in the medium. You know what I mean?
Is that not true though, Philip?
And then he compared it to series like Full Metal Alchemist, which they're not even trying to do the same thing. They're completely different. There's different goals in the creation of them. You know what I mean?
Man, look. I see what the person that wrote the article was like doing. Like, I mean, he was basically saying that there's better shit out there, even during the time of DBZ when it was at its peak and before DBZ, and he doesn't understand why it's so popular. Why is it getting all of this praise? I think people are just, it's nostalgia. People just remember it from their childhood, and they just won't let it die and go away.
See, but then how does that account for if there were better series around at the time that it came out? Why not? Why was it even so popular even then? You can't say it's nostalgia when it came out. It was on top of it. Like, it was the best. It was the most popular thing out.
I mean, I think it was Toonami. I think Cartoon Network had more to do with its popularity than I think Cartoon Network deserves all the credit for its popularity over here. Though.
I agree on that.
I disagree.
Because it was. I think
if that had been on any other. If that had been on any other network, it would have been just as popular.
I think Toonami set up the avenue for it to be popular. Because Toonami paved the way for Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, over here.
I feel like Dragon Ball Z set up Toonami to be popular.
I can see that argument also.
I don't know, man. I kind of fuck with Two Stupid Dogs more than I fuck with DBZ, though.
Two Stupid Dogs.
Fucking Johnny Bravo and shit, dog. Like, come on, man.
Look, but my thing is, here's what first off, we got to find some common ground here. Whether you enjoy Dragon Ball Z or not, it is irrefutably it has had the most profound effect on on anime, period, than anything else.
True.
It shaped the whole medium.
That's like the whole Michael Jordan fucking Muhammad Ali debate. Like, just because they came before.
I would even say that those individual players didn't have as much of an effect on their respective sports as
I disagree.
DBZ had on anime.
Man, this nigga Kobe is just like Joe. He copies all that nigga moves and shit, and I love him for it. That's why he's better, man. Like, people believe that just because something started a trend or something or whatever is better. Nothing can ever surpass it because it started what makes other things great now.
Here's what obviously, here's the thing. People judge DBZ by their standards of what they feel should make for a legendary show. What they feel makes for a good show, and not what a good show actually is. If they're doing it the wrong way, I feel Dragon Ball Z, it has done what no other series has ever done, then or since, and thereby it should be the standard to judge shows. Do you see what I'm saying?
I mean,
look, if it was so easy to create another series like Dragon Ball Z that had the same effect, then people would be doing it all these studios would do it every fucking week.
But look, what makes it so special though? Like, that's what the writer of the article is saying.
What I'm saying is, you need complex characters. You need great animation. Clearly, you don't need those things. You compared they in the article compared to Full Metal Alchemist, but Full Metal Alchemist, despite its great success, hasn't reached the heights that Dragon Ball Z has. So clearly, Dragon Ball Z has something that Full Metal Alchemist does not.
You know what it is, man?
What?
People are stupid.
No, nigga.
No, look.
Troy, wake the fuck up, nigga.
My bad.
Nigga Troy dozed off, man. Troy, fuck you, man. Say some shit, dog.
No, I'm just like, I don't think Dragon Ball Z is super overrated, but I can see the argument for it. So,
but I mean, look at these irritated, butthurt fans, man.
Ain't nobody butthurt.
Yo, keyword is butthurt, nigga. Like,
what an awful article.
Nobody's butthurt, but it's like you clearly. I think the fucked up part is DBZ is clearly doing something, and this is the part that I thought was the most profound part of the article. The last sentence, it says, to entertain someone and leave a lasting impression can just be a matter of doing the simple things correctly. And I think that sums up why Dragon Ball Z is so fucking good.
Dragon Ball Z, I don't think it's the show itself. I think it's the time. Like how you were saying before, like Dragon Ball Z is like the Biggie Tupac of anime for us. Like it's not because it's super good on its own or it's the best one on its own. It's when it came out and what it did at the time that it came out.
I disagree, because I feel as though if we're gonna use Biggie and Tupac as an example, somebody could pop in Biggie and Tupac today. You could listen to Ready to Die. You could listen to fucking All Eyes on Me or some shit like that. You can listen to that today and still be entertained by that shit. And you can't say that for the other people in the time that they were around.
No.
Even niggas that are out now.
What I'm saying is it's the impact. Like, you can't tell me Biggie is one of the best lyricists right now. You can't tell me Tupac is one of the best lyricists right now. They make good music. They're iconic. But they're not as good as some of the people out right now.
Okay, Biggie is a good lyricist, and Tupac is on a completely. He had a completely different effect than even Biggie. So
Dragon Ball Z is a good anime.
What I'm saying is, if you take go and listen to Ja Rule's first album, dog.
Ain't nobody listening.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say here. Like, you can go back and you can listen to Tupac and you can listen to Biggie, and it ain't. I don't think it's a matter of nostalgia, dude.
It's I see, not so much nostalgia. It's like think of the music you like and the songs that embody you more. It's not because the song is the best song you've ever heard. It's more of when you heard the song, what the song means to you, and that's kind of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is not the best anime out there.
It's not.
But see, by that same logic, other songs that were around during that time that made me feel something at the time, songs that I liked, I should be able to listen to those now and get that same effect. But it's not. Like, I'm just saying that there were artists out there during that time that made good songs, but that just didn't stick with it.
And I'm not gonna say every song is like that, but you can't tell me right now there's not some song from your past that stands out more than others.
Yeah.
And that's Dragon Ball Z to a lot of fans.
I disagree with that, because I said, if stop trying to fucking interrupt me, nigga.
Man,
like,
explain.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, none of these butthurt fans ever explain, like, why is this so great? Why is it put on this pedestal when the animation wasn't even that good? The characters was flat.
Because and this is what I'm talking about. You assume the characters were flat.
No, they were.
You assume the animation. You assume the animation was terrible.
It was.
But by doing that, you assume that these things need to be the case in order for a show to be.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Be legendary. I'm saying that they don't necessarily need to be the best in order to make a show legendary that spans through generations and throughout the years. You need to make it good enough.
Another thing with Dragon Ball Z was the fact that it's like a gateway anime. Like it is so simple.
Okay, look.
That shit is like He-Man, dog.
What constitutes a legendary anime to you? Because it's really easy to criticize Dragon Ball Z, but if not Dragon Ball Z, like, what do you think should take its place
as the best?
What does the show need to have in order to be the best anime? In order to be worthy of the praise that Dragon Ball Z gets.
I'm gonna back this up. Not even just the show, but like storytelling in general, plot,
and you feel like Dragon Ball Z is lacking
plot, character development, and just overall dynamicness of the plot and the characters.
Okay, now we can say that Hunter x Hunter has all those in spades, and yet it hasn't reached the same. What? Even though it stopped. Even though it stopped. Okay, fine. Well, then bring up another fucking manga or anime that has those. Naruto. And you feel like Naruto is gonna have the same lasting effect that Dragon Ball Z had. On the same level.
What I'm gonna say is Naruto doesn't have all those things well. Now Naruto in its heyday started off really strong over here.
Great.
Naruto had the chance to usurp it. In some instances, you could say it did because Naruto kind of replaced Goku for a little bit. Like,
do you see how that series is inspired heavily by Dragon Ball Z?
Agreed. And Dragon Ball Z was inspired heavily by other series. And
in some aspects, you can even say that Dragon Ball Z made Naruto accessible.
I mean,
yeah. But now, if we reverse the time, so let's say Naruto was the one that came first.
That's like, no, there are too many allowances with that.
But see, what I'm saying is like Dragon Ball Z isn't like, I mean, it's pretty original, but it still comes from Journey of the West. It's still taking all these elements from other shows and other Japanese culture. It's not like Dragon Ball Z is like this, like
I agree. And Tupac and Biggie weren't the first rappers. Neither was Jay-Z.
I mean, think about it this way: like Dragon Ball Z wasn't even the only thing to use a power source like that. Like JoJo's was using the Ripple,
right? But how does that discredit DBZ at all?
No, I mean we not look. The article was right.
In Japan, JoJo's is one of the most popular like manga out. In America, in the West, we got Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
But Dragon Ball Z is also extremely popular.
You gotta look at the avenues that were available. We didn't get JoJo's. We didn't get some of the other ones. All we got was Dragon Ball Z.
How about this example? Justin Bieber is popular. Miley Cyrus is popular. Are they the greatest singers?
Look, but here's the thing. You're comparing something like a modern singer to someone like Michael Jackson.
What the fuck? What you talking
Dragon
about?
Ball Z is the equivalent of Michael Jackson in this case.
No. Dragon Ball Z is not the quality of Michael Jackson.
Your analogy makes like zero sense.
It does. It's proof. Look.
Just because you know who used to be fucking hot? Who's that other white boy who used to be popping back in the day?
Aaron Carter?
Sure. Let's just say Aaron Carter. That wasn't the one I was talking about. I completely forget this. I completely forget this little boy name. I know he voices characters now.
Britney Spears?
I think he a nigga, like a dude, bro.
Haley Joel Osment?
Yeah, that one.
Andy Milonakis?
But it's like
Taylor Swift?
Justin Bieber, we can't say 10 years from now that Justin Bieber is going to have the same effect or he's going to be as big in the public perception as he is currently. But we know Michael Jackson has had such a profound effect on pop music and that he's influenced niggas that's influenced Justin Bieber. Yeah. Like, do you see what I'm saying here? Like, if Michael Jackson didn't exist, Usher wouldn't have existed.
I hear what you're saying, but this kind of going back to what Bush was saying, being the first doesn't make you the best. Being the first gets you recognition. Being the first gets you like herald, and being the first gets you like a status. But being the first doesn't make you the best.
Okay, I understand that, but even Michael Jackson wasn't even the first pop
DBZ
artist.
Is not fucking Michael Jackson. Stop doing that, dog.
Yes, it is. It's something. It's something that had a profound effect on the genre that it was a part of.
Yeah.
And it influenced modern day pop.
Then it got a remake. It got shitty. Yeah.
Because it was first, and Michael Jackson wasn't first, nigga. So like, come on, man.
Dragon Ball Z wasn't first. I thought that was the point y'all were trying to make.
No, it was like
the first in the West. Like it's the biggest. It's the big thing to come to the West. It wasn't the first anime. It wasn't the first manga, but it was big to come to the West. and that's what sparked it.
It could have ended up fizzing out like Yu Yu Hakusho, like a whole bunch of other anime that were brought over. It was a big anime that came over here, but it wasn't the only one, or even the only one during its time. Like we spoke about Digimon, and Digimon had its same run. The same run that during the time that DBZ had.
DBZ was first,
and so did Sailor Moon, and so did Yu Yu Hakusho. None of these.
DBZ was first of all.
Yeah.
And no other show got that time slot before DBZ did.
Also, Cartoon Network
for Toonami,
they were
because
pushing the fuck
it was
out of
Toonami
DBZ.
before. When you came home, when kids came home and kids were watching stuff, they didn't watch Cartoon Network at that time. They were watching like Fox, and Fox had all these action shows, these American-made action shows. Then we finally got DBZ, which was like a cartoon that was still action, still battle, still fitting in that same genre.
But I mean, but if you want to be technical, DBZ wasn't the first anime that America was exposed to.
Agreed, but it was the first one in that time slot at that time to kind of usurp all the other stuff that people were watching at the time.
Okay, but how does that? If it's not the first, if the claim that you're trying to make is the first doesn't make it the best, then it wasn't the first.
No. What you're missing is it was the first to get big.
Say it was in that time slot, but what does that matter?
It was the first to get big. It was the first. ZBZ had a perfect moment. You know, like that's why DBZ got as popular as it is.
Okay,
that's
well
why
then
it's
explain its effect that it's had.
I'll tell you right
explain
now. I love DBZ as a kid. I cannot watch that shit now.
You cannot watch
explain
that shit.
Explain the profound popularity that it has in Japan. Then.
It does have profound, but it's not the best in Japan. It is not the biggest anime in Japan, and you can fact check that shit right now. It is not the best anime in Japan right now. It is not the most popular in Japan.
It's the most popular battle shonen.
Debatable.
But debatable. What's above DBZ in Japan? If we want to talk about sports anime, yeah, there's sports anime that are more popular than Dragon Ball Z, and I believe there's some slice of life that might be more popular than Dragon Ball Z. But as far as battle shonen go, I would even reason as far as some. I don't know about shonen in general, but it is definitely the most. And even DBZ kind of bleeds into other genres in Japan too.
What are we debating though? Like, what are you trying to say?
I'm making the claim that according to y'all, a show has to hit these marks for you.
Okay.
But shows that hit these marks did not reach the level of success.
Philly, what I'm getting at for you, like my thing is DBZ bad? No. Does DBZ deserve the acclaim that it's gotten? Debatable. Not because the quality of the show, but the timing of the show is what made it what it is.
If it didn't, it wouldn't. That's what I feel.
What makes it good though? Like you motherfuckers is arguing in the comment section and shit, but what makes what makes DBZ good? Explain it.
Yeah, like why do you think it deserves it?
It does. One, it's an entertaining show. That's what I feel. The music, especially the Bruce
DBZ
Falconer
has no rewatch value.
It has none.
The only reason it doesn't have any rewatch value is because we've seen this shit hundreds of times.
No, but see, there's shows that do have rewatch value.
I watched the Saiyan Saga, like the prep for the Saiyan Saga, on loop, including that shitty ass Gohan filler, for like I want to say about 12 times in my life, dog. So of course, I'm not gonna be eager. I didn't have a choice. Because it was on after school and that shit, that's how shows were back then.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is the reason it has no replay value is because we've seen this story. We've played this story. We've played 3, 4, 5 Dragon Ball Z games and we've seen it done hundreds of times. Like we don't want to hear the story again. And that's why it doesn't have any replay value.
I disagree on that. I think
I really can't. Y'all have seen this story over and over again. At least Troy has. Like, how many times have you actually experienced the whole Dragon Ball Z story? Like
the story itself is very simple. Yeah. So the story itself, you hear it all the time. How many times have I sat down
you just
watched?
going like dodge my point though? Like,
what point are you making?
Are you gonna let me finish? Are you gonna let me finish? Are you gonna let me finish?
Bush, if you're not gonna contribute shit to this conversation, sit the fuck down.
Look, I am. I'm asking you what makes it great. Like you keep saying, it does simple shit well, but what doesn't do simple shit?
I was in the middle of saying that shit, and y'all niggas just cut me off.
All right, go ahead. Make your point.
I feel like Dragon Ball Z does all the things that it needs to do, and it doesn't trip. One thing DBZ I feel never does is trip over itself. It does. It hits every bar that it needs to hit and that it tries to hit.
The shit has no legs to trip over, man. Like, come on.
Bush. Let's be clear right now. Bush.
That shit floating, dog.
Bush, you never watched the show.
I did watch the show.
You never did. You watched one arc. No, you never watched the show, and the arc was in the middle of the fucking series. So, Troy is the only person I feel that can comment on the quality of the show.
Look, they had to make a whole new verse. They had to redo the whole thing. Just because the filler was bad.
Have you watched the Dragon Ball Z series?
Yes.
No, I'm not talking about a few episodes. I'm talking about the whole series.
Look, I watched the series.
Have you watched the entire Dragon Ball Z series?
Look, the series was so horrible. The animation was so shitty.
Have you watched the entire Dragon Ball Z series?
They had to make Kai, man. They had to cut this shit off.
Have you watched the entire Dragon Ball Z series?
Niggas charged for like 8 episodes, dog. Like, come on, man.
Have you watched the entire Dragon Ball Z series?
And the animation was just...
Why are you dodging the question, nigga?
Honestly, though, I'm trying to think of...
Hold up. You are not qualified to participate in this conversation.
Philly, man. The fight scenes...
Nothing you say beyond this point is going to be taken seriously.
The fight scenes was the fight scenes...
You haven't... How would you even know about the fight scenes?
The fight scenes was like just a couple of frames looped over and over again, dog.
Right. You watch 2 fight scenes and you come to that conclusion. And it's not... And you once again, you make the claim that crisp animation or that animation better than that is necessary for a show to reach the level of acclaim that DBZ has. And DBZ itself proves you wrong. Clearly, if DBZ was able to reach that height, then that's not necessary.
Because of timing alone, it's not the best shit out there. It's not the best shit I've seen. Man, look, man, I felt like my whole debate is that DBZ is overrated. It doesn't deserve all this.
And if you want to talk about timing, there's a huge gap right now that could be filled. DBZ, as big of a series as it is old, and it's not a current thing really. I mean, they're releasing DBZ or Dragon Ball S, but there is a void in anime. There is no there's no successor to DBZ.
Look, DBZ.
Now, if timing is the key issue here, then what's stopping another quote unquote subpar anime from filling that void?
No, see, Philly, and that's the thing. DBZ isn't subpar. That's not what I was saying, at least.
Okay, then talk to Bush, because Bush seems to clearly think
Bush just never even watched Dragon Ball Z. Like,
thank you.
No, that shit is ass, man. I don't understand.
Listen.
Look,
DBZ is not ass. It'll just
die.
Benefited from having the perfect timing.
Look, it'll die.
Well,
it'll die.
There's a void.
It'll die when the people that grew up with it will look. It'll die when the people that grew up with it lose interest. That's when DBZ will die.
Philly, as far as this void that you're talking about, it wasn't the fact. Like, when I say timing, it means everything. Like, DBZ came out in a time where for a children's show like that was perfect. Like, think of another anime that was ongoing like that, where kids could actually like progress with these stories. No other show lasted this long.
It wasn't ongoing when it was released. It was just getting released to us piece by piece.
Yeah, piece by piece, but it's still ongoing. It's an ongoing storyline.
Yeah, but the show had finished. I mean, Yu Yu Hakusho aired similar, like closer around that time.
No, it didn't. Yu Yu Hakusho didn't get. It might have got dubbed, but it didn't air in the same block.
And then if you want to be real serious, G Gundam came out, was a part of Toonami around that time too.
Now here's
around like 2002, 2003.
Oh, well, I mean, understand that Dragon Ball Z came on way before that. But G Gundam was awesome. It was a great show, but it lacks things to make it it's not a legendary anime. That
show is Dragon Ball Z with robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the
fact that you even said that to itself makes the point that Dragon Ball Z benefited from its timing. Because those two shows are very similar.
I disagree. It gave it once again. Look, Dragon Ball Z was not the first anime.
No one said it was
not
the
even
first
not
anime.
even to come to the United States.
Philly, what
you're
missing?
Any anime prior to this came during a time where anime was not widely accepted or experienced by the Western world.
Exactly. And when Dragon Ball Z
could have taken off.
No, when Dragon Ball Z did come over, that's the time where it was accepted because it's one of those shows. Like, what other anime before Dragon Ball Z was like Dragon Ball Z that came over
in America?
Yeah, name because there's similar animes like Dragon Ball Z. Name one that came to America besides Dragon Ball Z first.
Before Dragon Ball Z, similar to Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I can name anime that came here, but it's not going to be similar to Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly.
I mean, in the sense that they appeal to younger people.
Yes,
that's okay. Well, then Speed Racer.
But Speed Racer came out in like the 60s, and that shit was crazy.
What the fuck does that?
Look, I think
like Speed Racer was popular, but anime wasn't that accepted. Like
anime wasn't that accepted when DBZ dropped.
Like Toonami is what made anime accepted, and it wasn't just.
I
DBZ.
Strongly disagree.
Nigga.
I feel like because around this time we had like shitty. Our action scenes weren't made like anime action scenes.
Exactly.
And I think this is our first introduction into this fast-paced fighting type of scene. Like, same thing with the martial arts films. When them bitches came, when this Sharp Brothers shit came over here, niggas was packed in them theaters to see that shit, man.
Right.
That's why Bruce Lee was so popular and shit. I mean, even though his style was different, but people like that martial arts because they never seen fight scenes done in that type of manner. Like, it was like a play. Same thing with anime. Same thing with DBZ when it first came over. I think it was action scenes. I mean,
and that's why everybody's favorite rapper. That's why everybody's favorite rapper is Slick Rick.
Yeah, shut your ass up, man.
Yeah, because clearly, if something was the first to introduce a type of media. Clearly, that one is going to be
Slick. Look,
Slick Rick wasn't. What I'm trying to say is he, the first rapper you ever listened to is not still your favorite.
Like Philly, I get what you're saying, but
Philly,
you're making a straw man argument. Like Dragon Ball Z benefited from the timing, and no one is saying it's bad. It's just not the best.
Yeah, it's not the best.
And there's a vast
difference
between.
How do you even judge critically? You can say that you personally don't think it's the best.
It's overrated.
You cannot show me, at least in the West, another show that has had such a profound effect.
Here's what I'm gonna say, Philly.
So how do you determine best?
Out of all the people who have watched more than 5 anime, Dragon Ball Z will not be their favorite. Now, if you ask people what their favorite anime is and they say Dragon Ball Z, ask them how many other anime they've seen.
I would say that a lot of our generation would put, if we're talking all time, they put Dragon Ball Z in the top 5.
Like for me,
and what's more is all I'm trying to say is you have to clearly define what you mean by best. If you mean critically best, or in regards to animation and stuff like that, a lot of that is just your opinion. But if you want to use things we can actually quantify, like the effect that a show has had, Dragon Ball Z eclipses anything else.
Here's my thing.
I mean, will you not concede that?
A lot of my friends don't watch anime at all, but they know what Dragon Ball Z. A lot of my friends don't even consider Dragon Ball Z anime, but they know of Dragon Ball Z because that's what they've seen when they were kids, and that was a cool cartoon.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's not the quality.
You don't even
of
know
Dragon
what
Ball
fucking
Z,
point he's trying to make, nigga.
No, I understand. Like the same.
Okay,
look.
But regardless, what I was trying to define that you completely just ignored, Troy.
Well, because you cut me off when I was trying to talk. So
so when Bush do it, as long as he's sucking your dick, then it's fine, right?
No, look, I was gonna bring this back to your boxing and sports. So like that's what I like to. That's what I like to do. That's what I fucking know, and I know that people who only watched a handful of fights, they went into that Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight not knowing shit about boxing. They saw some highlights and like, this nigga has special highlights. Oh shit, he knocking motherfuckers out. This motherfucker's crazy. And he get in the ring, he looked like ass. And that's the same thing with this whole DBZ shit. People only seen a handful of animes, and from what they've seen, DBZ is the best out of the shit that they've seen thus far. And they don't know shit. So they just rank this shit higher,
like, I've watched as much anime as anybody in this call right now.
To the casual anime fan and niggas with low IQ, Dragon Ball Z is probably
wow.
the best.
Okay. Look, once again, Troy, you did not answer my question. Like,
what was the
and
question?
That's why y'all niggas have just been running in circles this whole argument.
Tell me your question.
I'll respond to some shit that y'all say, and Bush will make a little shitty ass joke, and then Troy will completely change the subject.
Tell me this question. What is this question?
You said Dragon Ball Z is not the best anime.
No.
If you mean it in the sense that in the effect that it's had, and things that we can actually quantify, as in how many series it's inspired.
That's not best though.
There's
you could say
that,
most popular.
Wait. That in and of itself is not arguable, and I think you at least can concede that if somebody were to say best, if that was their definition of best, that DBZ would qualify as the best.
That's
anime.
A very obscure definition of best.
But though. I don't feel like that's okay. I don't feel like that. But if you want to go by a different definition and just judge it on quality, then that's your opinion.
If we're saying
that is based off your perception of what you feel DBZ is.
If there's someone saying, is DBZ one of the most popular animes? Is DBZ one of the most inspiring animes? Is DBZ one of the most animes that people are most familiar with? Yes, to all of those. Yeah. Is DBZ the best anime? Sure, it's an opinion, but I'm pretty sure it's an opinion that most people will not hold.
All I'm saying is you gotta. If you feel like it's not the best, if it's not in your top 5, is so on and so forth, right? But don't act like other people need to align themselves with it, and if they don't, that they're somehow blinded by this nostalgia that for some reason only encompasses DBZ and no other shows.
For me, my issue is like you're dismissing it like most people don't like DBZ because of the nostalgia factor, and a lot of
people do. But I just think that's a cop out to assume that everyone does.
I don't think everyone does, but 80% do, and that's why it's overrated. That's where the overrated argument comes from.
It's just like a Charlie Brown Christmas special is the best fucking cartoon ever.
Great,
and you know what, Arthur too. Arthur too.
It's a simple message. And
that shit. Arthur is God tier cartoon.
Arthur had better storytelling than DBZ.
It really did though. Oh man, DW be fucking up.
They never had no continuous storyline except for Pal. Like that was it.
They didn't need one shit. DBZ didn't have a continuous storyline either. It was the same shit over and over.
Somehow this recording, we're working at about. We talked about DBZ for about 45 minutes. So
the niggas took each villain to the paint shop and changed that nigga a little bit, and they fought that nigga over again, dog.
Bush, you wouldn't know. Like this is the question. Like you, Venus Williams, looking at this nigga, you would not know. You would not fucking know.
Don't dismiss my points, man.
You have no points.
Look, DBZ is Mike Tyson, and
you wouldn't know.
Look. This is why I call DBZ Mike Tyson, dog. Because look, Mike Tyson is known for knocking people the fuck out, and during the time he was popular, he was the biggest athlete in the world at that time. And people that didn't know shit about boxing, they just heard, oh, Mike Tyson's killing everybody. And, they grew up, they grew older. And now all of a sudden they think Mike Tyson is one of the greatest fighters of all time. When really, the only people he beat were bums. He got knocked out by a bum. And the best fighters of his era, his peers, knocked him the fuck out each and every time. That's what DBZ is. It's like, it's hyped, it's overrated. And what, man?
Do you know what DBZ is like?
What?
John Adams. Do you know who John Adams is?
No, who the fuck is that?
Exactly, nigga.
The president,
that's what the fuck DBZ is like to you. You have no idea what DBZ is, nigga. Thereby, you wouldn't be over here talking about fucking John Adams because you have no idea who the fuck that nigga is. Yet somehow you can claim that you can form an opinion on DBZ. That's like John Adams, the worst fucking president ever.
Fucking
he overrated,
body bag, dog.
He was only president for 4 years.
This nigga just body bagged you, dog.
He caught me off guard, dog. No, he caught me off guard, dog.
Exactly. You have no knowledge of this shit.
Oh, shit. Fucking body bag, dog.
No.
I'm about to hang up this call. Fuck that. Drop the mic on this nigga, man.
He dropped the mic on shit, dog.
Yes.
God
damn.
Bush. Feel it. Troy, stop bagging this nigga.
Yo, DBZ the best anime ever, dog.
Don't cut this from the podcast, nigga. Don't cut this from the podcast.
No, man. Look.
I win.
You caught me off guard, man. I know we talking about presidents and shit, dog. Look. Shit, dog. Look. Shit, dog. Look. Shit, dog. Look. Shit, dog.